Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, my name is Ann McNeill, and I am, yes, I am the master wealth builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business. And I am so excited this morning to be here with you as we host another Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live Masterclass. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my co-host with an S, Galen Bingham, who is using his creative imagination on vacation today, and also Dr. Peter James, who is here with us this morning. But when you think about your creative imagination and how just imagination, period, plays such an important part to our existence, I just want to remind us just a little bit about what the author says about the idea of imagination. And he tells us that it's really the workshop. Now, just think about this. Imagine your brain being literally a workshop. Can you see that? Can or how about a manufacturing plant? Let me see. How about a clear slate whereby you are creating all the plans for everything that you have done, will do, and are doing? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today with you, and we want your participation as we really get into how your impulse of desires, these actions, these hunches, these inspirations that you receive, what do you do with them? You must give them shape and some kind of form, preferably on paper, and then act on them through your imaginative faculty of your mind or your brain or whatever you want to call that, right? So we're talking today about two forms of imagination. One is synthetic, and this is where you would take two existing ideas, concepts, and you combine them and you create what is called synthetic imagination. Nothing really is created from that's not already created. In other words, you take two things and you create a third. But your creative imagination is where you're connecting with infinite intelligence. You're connecting with the infinite source of all being, the creator, whatever you call him, her. Let's call him infinite intelligence for this particular class. You're going to be connecting with that source to then form and create something that has never been created before. That's what we're discussing today from this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And we would love to have you to participate in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But now let me introduce my co-host today, none other than Dr. Peter James. Dr. James, how are you this morning?
I am so excited to talk about imagination. And I'm hoping, the reason I'm excited, I'm hoping that by the end of today's session, today's show, that someone will have dove into imagination so much that they've been able to imagine something into existence.
Hmm.
And we're going to talk about what that looks like, has
Wow.
historically has looked like, even currently has looked like, to make it not so daunting.
Hmm.
So I'm excited to be here with you all today. My name is Dr. Peter A. James. I'm here with my esteemed colleague here, and I'm here to help shift your mindset today. And I'm hoping that as you listen to what we're talking about, you can now take what you have and do some phenomenal stuff with it. Or maybe take what others have done and now apply it in your own unique mix, Ann McNeill. And I'm thinking that's a big part of that's the imagination discussion. I'm so excited to dive into it, especially as we use Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich as the backdrop, as he has given us evidence of what this has looked like and how so many people historically have applied this and become wealthy. And oftentimes this synthetic imagination, especially, is right here around us, and we don't even realize it. We don't even realize it. Today, let's see if we can help folks realize it a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's start off by reminding everybody this is a masterclass. And for all of you students, we're students also, but in class, you have homework. Yes. And actually, Dr. James is an instructor at a university. And so we're all students of life. And we want to welcome all of our students today. Dr. Imelda Faith Wallace, speak those things as if they are. Welcome, Renetta Gordon, Doretha Dennis, Monica Long, welcome. First, second time, Dr. Raquel Rubin, always here. Welcome. So, listen, we really miss you whenever you're not here. So thank you for continuing, Dr. Raquel. Cherise Dubois, and all of you, welcome back to class. Now, this is our last class on imagination. So we need to make sure this is a dialogue. It's not a monologue. And what we really want you to do is listen to these 13 principles, how they connect to your imagination. How do you connect with them? And then we're going to get into the discussion about what are some examples. While we're watching this video, walking through the 13 principles or 13 steps, we want you to put in the chat on YouTube examples of creative imagination, examples of synthetic imagination that you are aware of. When we come back, we're going to walk through some of those, but then we're going to ask you to just think about your own creative imagination. First, we're going to talk about the creative imagination of others and synthetic imagination of others. And then we're going to, during the class, dialogue back and forth with you about your own creative imagination. How can we help support you in taking action on at least one idea? All right. So buckle up and let's listen to the 13 principles.
Number 1 is desire. Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the mastermind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the Wild Wild West days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us, use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of Step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion and what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
All right. And we are back. Just want to go back to something Napoleon Hill shared as we kind of set this up. And if you would continue to put in the chat your examples. All right. Now, Napoleon Hill tells us from this principle that your creative imagination can work automatically. And I'd like to challenge all of us to share, but how do you capture it? How do you capture it? And where do you put it? Now, Peter and I talked before the podcast started about what do we do individually with our creative imagination. And some of you were a part of our Think and Grow Rich Friday accountability program, where I shared that I usually write my ideas in the back of my journal. And then I realized I got a new journal and I had not written in the back. I wrote in the front sporadically, but not in the back. So all of the ideas in the last week or so that I had, I did not record. Now, what about you? Where do you actually write your creative imagination ideas? What do you do with those? But before we go there, let's bring Dr. James back to the conversation, and let's talk about some ideas that are examples, if you will. So Peter, if you want to start.
Yeah. So if I can really start, and I'm going to put my professorial hat on there, Ann McNeill, right? But what I talk to students about in an entrepreneurship class, who will say to me, Professor, I don't have any ideas. I don't have anything. I don't know what I want to come up with. The fact of the matter is, we really don't have to work that hard to come up with something. And here's where I'm going with that. We have so many things around us, gadgets, tools, stores, businesses, that were not really creative, but came up with an idea and decided to push forward. Now, most ideas are as Napoleon Hill says there, Ann McNeill, stillborn,
Yes.
right? There are businesses right around you, look, and everyone work with me on this, that you can duplicate and make better. Ideas around you that you can duplicate and make better. If you want to call it borrow, if you want to call it steal it, sure, maybe that's a different language to use, but here's how you do that. You take that idea and you put your own mix to it. You put your own spin to it. You make it better than it was before. And most of those businesses that you see, that's all they've really done. They're not that novel. They're not so brand new. They have just come up with these ideas, but they executed on them, made it better. How can you take what's already out there, what you already have around you, and make it better? So now I love what Ann is saying about having that notepad and that notebook to be able to jot down ideas, thoughts, images, concepts. I use Evernote. A quick story there, Ann. I use Evernote for a lot. Evernote's a digital platform that's a cloud-based, and I can use it on my phone. I can use it on my desktop. I can use it on my laptop, and it saves everything. I write so much stuff in there that I forget half of what I write in there. So when I have to do a presentation or do something else, I forget to go back there to my notes. And I'm start doing new research when I'm like, and the other day I was like, I have all this information in Evernote and also on Google Drive. I'm not using it effectively. So now how can you use notes apps, writing notes traditionally to now be more imaginative, to create more? And many of us think that this imagination thing is so hard. I gotta come up with something new, something different, so unique. So if you ever have the chance, this is my last thing there, Ann. If anyone ever has the chance, go on to YouTube and type in "creativity is a remix." Let me throw this at you. Most of the music that you listen to has been remixed from somebody else's music. Not
So
even.
let me jump in for 1 second on
Yeah,
that, because I listen to Jim Rohn every day.
yeah, please.
And one of the things many years ago, I had this idea. I say, wow, it would really be good to listen to snippets of one concept from him versus the entire. And of course, going to your point, somebody did a remix, took all of Jim Rohn's ideas, audio recording his podcast, and they took principles and they collect them all together in one. Another guy by the name of Evan something on YouTube, many years ago from NSA, he would scour the internet and rank people by keywords. And I actually ended up on one of his lists for Think and Grow Rich. Now he has taken the best of the best and he has pulled them all together. And actually, I'll drop some of that in the chat, Brittany, before we finish. But these are ideas like Peter's saying. I'm sorry to cut you off, Peter, but I just want to
You're good.
but make that point as you're talking, because we are all surrounded by these ideas, and what he's asking you is, what are yours? And we do want to acknowledge those of you that have put in the chat. Dr. Rubin said creative imagination is a table and synthetic imagination. Like, for example, she used a cell phone. Renette Gordon, she mentioned that artists and musicians are an example. Imelda, thank you. She's talking about putting her ideas. And Galen says that he puts his in an app on his phone. Now we're talking about, where do we put the ideas? Now we're going to come back to you, Peter. What happens next?
Yeah, right. which is which is where a lot of people falter, for lack of a better word. They stop. They don't go beyond what they write down. And I concur with Ann. Please get in the habit of writing everything down that comes to your mind. Because if you're anything like me, you'll think about it 1 minute, and you that thought will be fleeting, right? So it's interesting to be able to reflect on what to do. You write them down, then what? How are you going to use it? How are you going to apply it? I encourage you all, and this is, I'm getting ahead of us here, Ann, a little bit.
No, no, go right ahead.
I
Go.
encourage you
No, go
all
ahead.
who write some of this down to really think about how to partner with others around you. Share your notes, share your ideas, or even though they're not original, as I've been mentioning, right? Don't hesitate about that. Listen, they could be very simple, very small ideas, but the simplest and the smallest. Here's a great example. We sometimes revere people in society. Two great examples right now. Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. Steve Jobs, may he rest in peace. Many of us think that Steve Jobs, the Apple CEO, was the creator of the touchscreen. If we go a little bit deeper there, and you realize that he didn't come up with that. Apple didn't come up with the ability to be able to touch and swipe. Actually, they made it better from its origins back in the 80s and 90s, when it was created way before Apple and Steve Jobs. Many of us think that Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, created the electric car. Oh, we are so wrong. The electric car was created way back in the 70s. Look it up. They just made it better. They just improved it. What is sitting right under your nose right now that you can take notes on, that you can improve and make better? And there's so much. I read so many. I read so many books and watch and so many thought leaders who take so much from Think and Grow Rich. I'm blown away. I'm like, this book just pretty much they just take what Think and Grow Rich said and apply it for their own selves. It's such a great example. So as we were thinking about all these ideas and you are jotting them down, Ann and I are going to give you some examples of what this has looked like historically. What people have not been as original as we think they are, have been,
How
right?
about as smart as you think?
That too, right, right. We sometimes throw that word around too, smart, just because of what? Again, those two individuals I mentioned, we think that Jeff Bezos is so genius and smart. Or was he just, how about this? Was he just brave enough to execute on the ideas that he wrote down?
By
Ooh,
surrounding himself with a mastermind group of people.
that too, right?
We're getting a lot of things in the chat, so we do want to respect our classmates here.
Yeah.
And Renette Gordon said that she gave a couple more examples. And Galen says, okay, we'll talk about that. I want to just, you hit on something about all around us. And when you said that, I looked in the screen and I saw behind me all of these books, right? And these books are simply ideas. And I'm going to use the one to my left, which is this one. Frederick Douglass had an idea, and he used his imagination during slavery. And he said, you know what? I am going to become the face. This is imagination. Now, just imagine during slavery, you decide to become the face of the slave. So what he did was, once he had that idea, he then decided to take action on the idea by dressing up, always in this fabulous garb. And everywhere he went all around the world, he made plans to identify all of the photographers in that area to take pictures of him. Kodak did the research and they found that Frederick Douglass was the most photographed human being during his time. Yes, he was photographed more than sitting presidents and kings and queens because he had an idea and he acted on it because he wanted to become the face of the slave. That's one. When you were talking, I reached and I said, now for myself, this book is called The Artist Way. Many years ago, I was struggling with learning how to journal because I would have all of these ideas creatively and I didn't know what to do with them. I really didn't, because my journaling during that time, Peter, was, my mom was a holiness minister, my father was a businessman, and my journal sounded like this: thank you, Jesus, God, hallelujah, praise. And that is how I journaled, because I did not know how to journal. But when I read this book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, she has developed a process of creative imagination. How do you take your ideas and what do you do with them? And she created a process called Morning Pages. And her Morning Pages basically just says, when you wake up in the morning, get up a little bit earlier. And then you do 3 pages of creative writing and just let it flow. Whatever's top of mind, Peter, Galen, Imelda, Dr. Rubin, Doretha, everybody, she says, you just write. Monica, she says, you just write and write. 3 pages, not 2 pages, not 4 pages, not 5. And whatever's top of mind, you just let it flow. Well, I started doing that, Peter, for years. And this is what happened for me. I took her concept of what she called Morning Pages, and I created what I called a daily date with myself. A daily date with myself is what I called it. And what I would do every morning, I would get up during the time she said, I would write the 3 pages. But then all of a sudden, my ideas started taking on a life of their own. And this is what I found they turned into. I would write, what are the opportunities? I don't know if you can see this, but it says opportunities. And then I would write what lessons that I learned. Okay. Can't see that. But anyway, opportunities. What are the opportunities? And I would ask my mind to give me 10 opportunities. Then I would say, what lessons did I learn from yesterday? What am I thankful for? Can't see that. What am I thankful for? And what am I grateful for? And this allowed my mind to go in, and ideas also in the back of that. This would allow my mind to go directly to thankfulness, directly to lessons learned. And as I began to write those things, I began to become more thankful, more grateful. And in a spirit of service, those ideas then began to take on life of their own. Now, we're sitting here on a podcast. I've been sitting here now for 18 years. Yes, that came out of the journaling. My companies, all 5 of them, came out of the journaling. I had one company, and I'm helping us just kind of walk through what I do. Peter's going to walk through what he does, and then we're going to talk about Napoleon Hill ideas he gave. But I had one company called MCO Construction. But because of this process of writing ideas and ideas and ideas and ideas and asking myself to give me opportunities, I began to realize there's a supply chain in my mind and in my business. What ideas can I take and pull out from my construction company and create another company? That company was called MCO Consulting, where I do consulting for clients. And then as I continued to do that, and I would write and write and write, people would ask me to speak. And I kept writing and writing and writing ideas. And I realized, wait. I realized, people will pay you to speak. Wait,
What
Peter.
concept? What a concept.
But let me tell you, when I found it out, my youngest daughter was 12, and she had been learning how to analyze stocks and how to invest. And her coach, Dr. Tina Dupree, some of us know her as the Chicken Lady. She was a renowned professional speaker, but she was coaching my daughter at 12. And then she said to her that, and I think I have her book. Oh, I have her book here, The Baby Billionaire. And it's this mine I wrote about her, The Baby Billionaire. But again, an idea. This is the point I'm trying to make. All these things are nothing but ideas. And she started being paid to speak at 12. And I started saying to myself, wait, hold up. Now I got to drive her. I got to take her to these conferences, and people pay. If she can do that, can I do that? An idea. And so I decided to start building a brand. And all I'm saying is same thing with National Association for Black Women in Construction, an idea that I just kept writing and writing, an idea. Yes, great book. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Be brave enough to execute. But my point I want to make here, Peter and everybody, is what are you doing with your ideas? Where are you recording them? And you can get this book, of course. It's called A Daily Date with Yourself. Or you can get a blank journal, a notepad, a yellow pad, a white pad, but do something with the idea. So, Peter, I'm going to get off of that. Galen says, what if you truly realize that your crazy ideas are instructions from God? Thank you. You should figure out how to capture and act on them. And I want to continue to say, with an accountability partner and accountability group, because if there's no accountability, there's no accountability.
Let's talk about that really quick there, Ann. Some of us, when we write down these notes or these ideas, we don't want to share it. We think that the person you share it with, accountability group or not, is going to steal it and run with it. Again, I'm talking from a professorial perspective, an entrepreneurship professor perspective. I've asked people about this, talked to people, done research on this. It's not a thing. The biggest case that I've seen of someone stealing another person's idea is Mark Zuckerberg, who stole the Facebook from some college students that were friends of his. That's the only one that's really of substance. And of course, for all those who know the story, he had to pay them generously. Generously. Very, very. They're actually set for life. They're probably not working anymore. Here's where I'm going with this, though. It's so important to be able to share your ideas, because 9 times out of 10, probably 9.5 times out of 10, they don't have the bandwidth or the drive to accomplish your idea. It's not theirs, it's yours. They're not going to take it and run with it. How about share your ideas with others so they can help you fine-tune them so that you can do something big with them?
Well,
So
this
goes right to the accountability part of it, Ann McNeill.
Yeah, let's go back to another example. Napoleon Hill shares with us some ideas, and we're just going to share. Let me just go back to Doretha said the laptop was an idea. Monica says, loving these journaling ideas. Yes, Monica, thank you. I want to go back to Napoleon Hill examples that he gave. Some of the examples he gave about synthetic imagination, one that you hit on indirectly is the Wright brothers. There were others that had the flying machine. They couldn't get it up and stay in the air. But what the Wright brothers did was they used creative imagination by connecting with the infinite intelligence that gave them additional ideas of how to keep that plane in the air. That was creative. That was creative ideas. Another one he gave that was a creative idea. Now I want to go back to Wright brothers, even though it was a creative idea, it came from a synthetic source because others did have the plane. Going back to the point you're making about Zuckerberg and Facebook, he did something different that they could not do.
Very true. Very
You
true.
see,
Yes, he did.
and so again, when you're taking a synthetic idea and you're connecting with the infinite, you come up with, and Napoleon Hill shares Madame Curie when she came up with the radium. There's so many out here, so many ideas. Go back to synthetic. These are some of the synthetic ones that Napoleon Hill gave.
Yep.
He talked about Edison and the incandescent light, where he, because of the 10,000 hours, excuse me, and all of the connections that he had to experiment with before he was able to take that idea into a reality, right? Another one he gave was this guy by the name of Clarence Sanders from Piggly Wiggly store, who took two different ideas and he made one idea that generated what we now know as the stores that we all go into. I mean, even something like Whole Foods. We had Publix, we had Winn-Dixie, we had Piggly Wiggly, we had all these stores. But Whole Foods took synthetic ideas and then say, you know what, my target market is going to be all those people who are health conscious. Some things we're not carrying. A lot of things you look for that you can't find for your health, we're going to carry the healthiest food. Home Depot. I mean, we could go on and on with ideas that people acted on. Disney, the place of imagination. We can't get out of here without talking about Disney. What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, I'm reflecting on all that. We think that they're so imaginative in Disney. Oh, they came up with all these new ideas, this theme park. Wow, it's so original. Really not. Really not. Just taken it from someone else
Yes.
and made it. But you said something that was so key there, and they took it from someone else and brought it to a new height and level, which probably the predecessor could never do. Right? They changed it, improved it, made it better, sharpened it, shined it up, made it doable, more doable, workable, sellable. There's an idea right under your nose that you are lined up for, that you have a skill set for, that it's your turn to be able to do that. It's much easier, I'm going to say easier to do it when you have a great mastermind around you. It's harder to do it by yourself. It's easier when you have great people who are on the same trajectory as you around you. You have to ask yourself what that looks like. And this might be a good time to bring in what that could look like for people.
What that would look like for
An accountability group.
Oh,
An accountability group that I know you know of very well.
Hint, hint. That's my tee up. I teeing up my golf ball here. Yes, what Dr. Peter James is referring to is that we have a beta test that we do, and we're going to drop the link in the chat on YouTube, and you can click the link and please register now. Also, we're going to click the link for you to register and subscribe. If you have not subscribed to this YouTube, please consider doing so. But when you think about masterminding your ideas, whether creative or synthetic, I want to go back to a comment that was made by Dr. Rubin. She said, be mindful that when you share your ideas, and I just lost it. Anyway, the point she was making is that people can steal your joy. So be careful that you ensure that people are like-minded and like-spirited when you share your ideas with them, because if you're not careful, they can and they will steal your joy. She basically said, be mindful to whom you share your ideas, because some people won't steal them. However, they would kill your soul, convincing you that it's not worth it. And oh my gosh, that is so very, very, very true. So very true. And we've all been there. One of the ideas that we have here is to create a place for you to go, or to come rather. It's a platform called Mighty Networks, We meet once a month on a Tuesday at 9 a.m. if you can make it. And we come together and we share best practices of the good, the bad, and the ugly of masterminding. Why is that important? Because there really is no place, I contend there's no place for masterminders to go to look for uh, protection, if you will, to the best of our ability, of like minded and like spirited individuals that will help you nurture those ideas in a creative way. It may take years, so let's be clear about that, because nothing worth having, really, all of the ideas we've discussed did not just happen overnight. It was a function of time and hard work and grit and perseverance and persistence and all these principles. And so you can click the link. You can go to internationalmasterminders.com/group mastermind. And here it is again, internationalmasterminders.com/group mastermind. Please register and join us. We meet once a month. Um, it's on a Tuesday, and all the details are right there. And we will look to see you um, for the next one that we're hosting in the month of June. And we traditionally, sometime every other month, will invite a group to come and share their mastermind successes and failures, because it's not all perfect, not all perfect. Now, while I'm on this subject, Peter, I would like to talk about another idea, and that is the idea that God blessed me to have to create a place of accountability for the family. And so on every year in January, we have an annual meeting for your life, every area of your life. We come together and we share in writing, because if it's not written, you can't discuss it. Yes. What are your goals and plans for your spiritual, your family, your education, your health? Yes. Your personal development. How about your business? How about your career? How about the recreational area of your life? How about civically? Are you doing anything civically to engage your civic community? How about recreationally? So these are some of the areas we bring our life in writing, and the entire family, yes. And we literally set goals for 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and some of us 40, 50 years. Yes. And oftentimes we start with 1 or 2 pages. And the more you do this exercise, it grows and it grows and it grows. But as it grows, you also grow. You also grow, and your family grows in terms of the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding how to be a better blank, whatever it is, it's blank for you. But we're talking about creative imagination, and we're talking about synthetic imagination. And how do you use it? So we're going to have Peter come back on, and we're going to come back to all of you that's in the class. As we prepare to wrap up, we would love for you to give us your one takeaway in terms of an action that you're going to take. Put it in the chat. So I'm going to start calling the students' names. And so,
I love to call people out there, Ann McNeill.
Yes, well, why don't you go ahead and start? I think we should start with Galen Bingham first.
Listen, before we dive in there, I want to piggyback on the annual accountability meeting. We're going into June. It's early. It's not too early to begin to plan how you are holding your life accountable.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Right, your life. Not just you. We talk a lot about business, career, riches. Not just that. Your life, your family, right? How you can continue to move forward, and so definitely consider what that will look like for you as you move forward. Number 2, here's the one, and I've mentioned this in previous weeks. Are we leaving space enough in our head, in our existence, in our lives, to be creative, to come up with ideas? I had spoken about before, oftentimes we are inundated with the noise of life. And today it's even so bad with our phones. We get into our car, we got to turn the radio on right away. When and where is the quiet in your life so that your brain can be more creative? So your brain can really bring in those ideas from predecessors or whoever. So your brain can work. When and how are you allowing your brain to be more creative, to find something to execute on? I'm asking you, where is that? What does that look like for you? And if it doesn't, because there's so much noise in this world, you have to be intentional about creating space for yourself, creating space for your brain to be able to think, to write down, to act on them as well. So, Neil, let's look into the chat and see how people are doing this. What are we asking them, Neil? Are we asking them their ideas or what they've written down? Or what are we asking them?
We're asking them to write one creative idea or synthetic idea they would like for us to hold them accountable for. One idea you would like to be held accountable. Okay, here we go.
Adults don't like to be held accountable.
Well, some people do. Dr. Rubin says, I keep developing some products with some twists for the next month. So you want to give us one product, you don't have to go into detail, that you want us to hold you accountable for acting on that idea, Dr. Rubin. Galen said, I've committed to executing against at least one crazy idea on Fridays. This could even be the smallest of steps, but you got to give us. Now, this is the teacher instructions. Yeah. Let's go back to the instructions, students. What is the action? So we'll start with you, Mr. Bingham. You know how this goes. He's committed to executing against one crazy idea. You got to give us one idea or one action. See, there's no accountability if there's no clarity of what we're holding you accountable for, Dr. Rubin and Galen. So if you can each come back and say, this one step I'm going to take, I'm going to contact an expert, or I'm going to sell an item, or I'm going to ask somebody to buy it. Give us the actual action. Now, Peter, the reason why this becomes important, and I'll go back to this book this journal that I created. When we come up with ideas on a daily basis or weekly or monthly basis, what's the action to action to action? Doretha says, here we go. Thank you, Doretha. She says, locate a building, a home to operate my business. That's an exact idea with the required action that we can hold her accountable for. Does that make sense? Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Doretha. So this is what we're asking everybody to do. What is the action you're going to take? And Renette says, I'm the queen of ideas. My challenge, Renette Gordon, I need a system to research and then decide to take. Okay. Pick one. She says, my challenge is deciding which are best to. No, just pick one. And this is an excellent example. Thank you so much, Renette Gordon, for sharing this. What she's saying is, I'm the queen of ideas, but I need to pick, I got all of these ideas going. And for me, that's why I write all the ideas down. I keep saying this. I write them down every day. And then I require my mind to give me ideas on the ideas on the ideas. And I drill them down. I drill them down and down and down and down. I was sharing with a friend yesterday, Peter, we're part of the NABWIC, Black Women in Construction. And I was sharing with them, I said, when I first started with this idea, all I wanted to do was get together with some women for lunch, because I just started collecting emails, business cards. That idea grew to a breakfast, a lunch. We started doing a conference call once a week. Now, over the last 10 years, we've gone from one call a week, which they said, Ann, it's just too much, Ann, to where we have 2 or 3 calls per day, literally 7 days, yes, a week. We're in 15 cities and we got 10 waiting. What are you doing with your ideas on a daily basis? What action? That's all we're asking you to do. So, Peter, What's one idea now? You give us one and I'll give one too.
I'm reading the mail as I in the chat. She says, this morning I made a decision to lay in bed until 8 a.m. to listen to my ideas. I love that. Um, so I am on the cusp of, and I've been talking about it for a while with my own mastermind group, and it's going to be somewhat of a mastermind group coaching idea. But one of the steps in that is, and as crazy as it sounds, I'm on the show every Saturday morning, but I need to record more videos.
I love it. Oh, no, I will.
I will record more
Okay,
videos. So
hold it,
I'm committing
everybody.
to, I go to church. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I want everybody to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what Justina said. Justina said her action is gonna she's going to register her business. That's what we're looking for. It's an idea, then it's an action. And then Galen said, I will reach out to share. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. He said, I will reach out to share more within the Uncle Nearest organization for a podcast interview. But that's all we're looking for. See, Renette says, Renette, she says she have an idea to help aspiring. No, 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 no. Give me the action, please, madame. What action? Tell me I will reach out. See, Renette,
And
you will.
here's what that looks like for me there. And so again, with the mastermind group, I know I need to do more videos. So I will, I'm
Yes.
committed to recording videos every Sunday after I come back from church. Because actually that's when I look my best. That's when I think, look, I'm telling myself that. That's when I look my best. But I'm committing to do that every Sunday to create videos for to promote as well as for
Now, are you open for coaching?
absolutely, please. Always.
I will.
I will create these videos
Yes. And
every
then
Sunday.
every Saturday you will report back to us if you did it the previous.
I will do that.
Okay, everybody. Dr. Rubin, you heard him. She said, I will be drafting my first next month meditation. That's what I'm talking about, Dr.
Nice.
Rubin. Yes. And
I
all
love
of
I love
this.
this back part of that combines some of the principles of Think and Grow Rich and the
Yes.
body. So
Yes.
again, there she is, synthetic imagination. Great example.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
And
that.
Imelda, thank you for taking that idea. She said, I will write down my ideas in the back of my journal. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. This has been so, listen, this is so inspiring. This is so encouraging. I don't want to, I don't want to get too emotional here, but, we come on here every single Saturday, 52 weeks. Yes, I missed part of last week because I was speaking for the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in Orlando, but we bring you the very best we have to give. And every month, at the end of the month, we do a masterclass, which is your time to participate. Galen says, I will ask everyone who is viewing this conversation to hit the like button and tell 2 friends about this show. Yes, thank you, Galen. That's an action we must take. But we just want you to really be encouraged. And how do you take action on each of these principles? And as many of you know, you have grown phenomenally. We have grown phenomenally, and it's not easy to commit to take this action and then to act on it. And you see, even though Galen is on vacation, he's still here. He's still here virtually. We're so committed to you, to each and every one of you, to give you our very best from these principles. But you must have an idea. You must have an action you're going to take, just a little action every single week. This platform and this place we've created for you to be held accountable. This is a mastermind. This is the Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live Masterclass for you. So come back next week and say, you know what? Last week I said I was going to do that. This is what I did. Every single Friday, if those of you are interested, we have a Think and Grow Rich Friday accountability call that we host at 7 a.m. Eastern time. I know it's a little early if you're on the West Coast, but we allow individuals to come on and share one goal they want to be held accountable for, and to share one aha from the reading. Now, you don't have to share many people, literally 40, 50 people come on and they just listen. And we want to thank Imelda Wallace. She's committed to host the entire month. But why? Because she realizes that by holding herself accountable through the group is growing her. And one of the things that's happened for her, and I'll speak on her behalf, I should not mind this, she had a creative idea. And for many of you that may follow her, if you don't, please follow her, Imelda Wallace, on Facebook and her social media. But she's always dressed like the old folks say, she's always dressed to the nines. And so this idea came up to brand herself as Imelda's Fashions, inspiring women, well, and some brothers too, but to dress your very best every single day. Now, that was a creative and synthetic idea, taking something that she already does and then taking action on it to brand herself. Now, that's me sharing her story. Every single one of you have a story like that of how you're taking ideas. But oftentimes, like Peter said, we don't stop long enough to write it down and then drill it down and then drill it down. And then eventually ask yourself the question. You see, your passion would turn into profit if you're willing to serve others more than being served. Right? So we're going to go ahead and plan to wrap up. We're going to give you back a couple of minutes. But Dr. James, if you want to tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how they can connect with you so that you can help them shift their mindset, then I will do the same and then we'll wrap up.
Oh, she just did it. She just did it for me. Dr. Peter A. James. You can find me at shiftyourmindset.com. The best place to chat with me is on LinkedIn platform, or just go to Shift Your Mindset and reach out to me for that matter. I do have something brewing very soon. So if you are interested in being surrounded by others, being in a mastermind that really challenges you, this is not for the faint of heart. This is going deep in order to accomplish your dreams and your visions. Stay tuned. All right, Ann McNeill.
All right. Thank you. I want to thank Galen for sending that message because Renette Gordon said she's done. Galen said, please share this. And Renette responded to your call to action and she said, done. So please, everybody, comment, like, and share the show. But also subscribe and share with your friends and ask 2 or 3 people to subscribe. We are every single Saturday. We are here for you. My name is Ann McNeill, and I am the Master Wealth Builder, helping you to build a stronger and better life and business through these principles. You can connect with me at annmcneill.com/coaching, and I'm going to ask each and every one of you, join our Clarity Mastermind, where we help you with systems and processes to tap into your imagination. Again, that's annmcneill.com/coaching. And I am just like everybody else learning. Also, you can, you can buy these books, especially this one called A Daily Date with Yourself. And we will see all of you next week right here for another episode of Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. And we have a very special guest, but you must show up. He's been here before, and by demand, he's coming back. But you must show up. And as a matter of fact, I think we should keep it a secret until next Saturday morning. And we're going to ask each of you to comment, like, and share the show, and invite your friends by faith to hear our special guest. He's going to be phenomenal. All right. So until then, Dr. James.
See you now.
Peace.